Way out west, Phoenix, Arizona. For the first time, NASCAR's Premier Series makes a spring visit to the Valley of the Sun, which today sees overcast skies and nice cool temperatures for Bud Pole qualifying. Ryan Newman fast in practice among those set to go. See if he can win yet another Phoenix pole. 1 week ago, though, Greg Biffle scored in the Lone Star State, taking no prisoners and driving off to his second Nextel Cup victory of the season. That's our Mitchum Racing Profile is Greg Biffle, leader of the Roushketeers and leader of the pack last week. Biffle's win helped close up the Nextel Cup point standings. Jimmy Johnson still the leader, but his 160-point bulge going into Texas now down to 135. Rusty Wallace climbs to third. Defending champ Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon. Look at the veterans in the top 10. Marlin, Martin, Sadler, Newman, and Jarrett. A lot of the over 40 crowd right up there in the top 10 as we come to Phoenix. Speed Channel welcomes you to NASCAR Nextel Cup qualifying at Phoenix International Raceway. The weather, well, we've had weather. You know, Mark Twain used to say, if you don't like it, wait a minute, it'll change. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Darrell Waltrip. Yesterday, 90-plus degree heat, sun baking down on the speedway. Everybody got to practice. Now for something completely different.
Well, I think everybody's a little bit relieved. We just had Busch Series qualifying, and the 45 cars that went out and took the clocks for qualifying there, most of them picked up, and I think the reason the track has more grip. A lot of teams were concerned the fact that they practiced yesterday, they had not been on the racetrack this morning, that the cars were going to be totally different. But I think right now, with the cooler temperatures, the cars just have more grip, and we're seeing faster speeds.
Yeah, probably so. And that and the tape. And then, I mean, we can look at practice speeds from yesterday and see how that fares up against how these guys qualify today. We're nowhere near the track record, which is up around 135 miles an hour. That's not to say we won't be, because we never know what the Rocket's going to run. He might pull a rabbit out of his hat. So it'd be interesting to see how the practice times back up against the qualifying times.
What's it like to drive here, Darrell? Because to call this place an oval wouldn't really be correct.
No, and what you got to watch when you're qualifying is as you go down into turn one, these cars, you have to have a lot of camber in the right front tire, 6 degrees. That makes the car a little squirrely when it enters turn one under braking, particularly on new tires. And so getting into turn one really sets up that whole corner, and getting off of 2 and down the back is how you make speed around this joint. So the guys have to fight with a lot of obstacles, a lot of issues when they're on an impound race.
Here are the drivers with a need for speed. These are the times of the drivers who need to qualify. Bobby Labonte will race tomorrow night because he's a past champion. Everyone else on this list will have to time their way into the show next. Let's go down to the lineup and the executive editor of Speedway Illustrated, Dick Berggren.
Well, Mike and Darrell were talking about speed and the need for speed. This guy, Ryan Newman, or at least the guy that's going to drive this race car, Ryan Newman, has got all the speed in the world. The last 3 races here at Phoenix, he has won the pole. Last year, he won the pole with this very car. There have been 2 practice sessions so far. Ryan was second quick in the first of them. He won the second one. Fastest among all. He goes last today. So you are just going to have to hang around and see if Ryan Newman can win his 31st career pole this afternoon at Phoenix.
Thanks, Dick. Coming up, Bud Pole qualifying for the NASCAR Nextel Cup cars. There are the Busch Series cars, which just completed their qualifying session. NASCAR Bud Pole qualifying from Phoenix is brought to you by Mitchum, with you all the way. By John Deere Lawn Tractors, make your yard a John Deere yard. And by new high endurance oil from Mobil, official lubricants of NASCAR. Kyle Petty signing a few autographs under welcome cloudy, cool skies here in Phoenix. Nothing like the fry pan of yesterday. So Jimmie Johnson, our point leader and driver of the Lowe's Chevrolet, joins us on the headset. A little bit different here than yesterday. So you still got the sunglasses on, but it's a little overcast, and I would imagine it's got to be a little more comfortable for you folks.
Yeah, it's definitely more comfortable, and I'm excited to see it overcast today because I'm an early draw in qualifying, and I think it would have hurt us pretty bad. So today it's going to be pretty equal for everyone, and hopefully we get the Lowe's Monte Carlo good starting spot.
Now, Jimmy, I brag on you all the time. What a clean-cut, good-looking guy you are, and how come you didn't shave today?
Well, see, today, thanks for bringing that up. But today, I wanted everyone at home to see what happens when you use the Gillette products. Obviously, I'm a Gillette Young Gun, and today I have a little scruff. And tomorrow when I come back and you see me on TV, you'll see that my Mach 3 Turbo razor works well and all the other supplies that go with it.
That is the sneakiest example of product placement we've seen all year. Congratulations.
Now, I had nothing to do with it. DW set me up.
I know,
so.
no, but that's good.
But see, here's the real truth. We have 2 laps that we do today. That's it. So I slept in, took some time to get out of the track, and here I am.
But Jimmy, you guys, the last 2 races at Martinsville and Texas, you've came home with good finishes, but you did it the hard way. I mean, you were not very good when neither one of those races started, and now we have the impound race here. So what's it going to be like, you think?
I hope we start off a lot better than we have the last few weeks. It's been tough on us, but the thing that it showed me and the team is that if you don't give up, you can still finish well in these races. They're long enough, there's enough changes, enough pit stops, and if I just use my head and drive the car within its abilities and don't take it out of the race, we'll get it right and we'll make the car competitive. So hopefully we're not going to go that route again this weekend. The car was very good in race trim. We slowed down a little bit when we went into qualifying trim yesterday, but hopefully we made the right adjustments to balance what we can do during the impound races out and get a top 10 spot, because once they drop the rag in the race, we know we're going to be good.
Hey, Jimmy, what keeps you from panicking? I mean, what is it, the chemistry that you and Chad have that, I mean, as a driver, I mean, I would be getting pretty uptight when my car wasn't running any better than yours did, like at Martinsville in the start of last week. What keeps you from panicking?
I think really from us working together and gaining experience together, I've been able to work through some things and work through different races where I was panicking, and it worked itself out. So I think experience over time has really showed me that we're okay, we're going to be fine. And I believe in Chad more than myself at times. So my crew guys, Chad, everybody, we all believe in one another, and that really helps us stay calm throughout most of the time. But if you listen in on the radios at times, sometimes we're pretty vocal and upset and don't seem so calm. It's just part of it. But we've been able to rally through the last 2 weeks when they've been frustrating events and turn out with a good finish.
All right, Jimmy,
pretty impressive the last couple of weeks the way you've recovered.
Thanks, guys.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
Jimmie Johnson, there's Chad Knaus, his crew chief. Their average finish over the last 13 races, average finish, is 3rd.
And if you don't think that cat right there can panic, you don't know Chad very well. I've been around him. He worked with me at DEI, and then later on over at the car that I sold to Tim Beverly when we were at the Tabasco car.
Darrell, you mentioned the obstacle of the impound, and based on what we saw in Busch Series qualifying, these cars, I think they're going to have to be a little bit free, a little bit loose to be a good race car tomorrow night when they untape those noses.
Yeah, that's what happens to you on a qualifying run here. If you watch these cars, particularly getting into turn 1, the ones that are really going to go fast, they're going to get down in there and make a smooth entry. Some of the guys are really going to struggle with that on their qualifying run, because with tape and soft springs, you're going to sink that nose a ton.
Bobby Labonte in the Joe Gibbs Interstate Battery Chevy, in a position you thought you'd never see him. 37th in points coming in here. 677 back of the lead.
He was pretty good in practice, Mike, so I don't know how he'll qualify, but he's pretty good in practice.
Yeah, and I don't want to preach doom and gloom. There's no need of that. They've just had horrible luck.
But you're right, Darrell. He was awfully good in practice, and already on that first lap, he has picked it up even more from what he practiced yesterday, 27-27. And we saw in Busch Series qualifying, a lot of cars picked up on the second lap, and indeed Bobby Labonte picked it up to a 27.06. Give him a little something to shoot at.
Yeah, that's almost 133 miles an hour, and that's not quite to the track record speed, but that's a whole lot better than we were yesterday.
Bobby won the pole here in 1996 and has 4 top 10 starts in 12 Phoenix races. The setting here is unlike anything else in stock car racing. The Estrella Mountains out behind the Speedway, which is southwest of the city of Phoenix, though the city gets closer all the time. Lots of those saguaro cactuses. Cacti, excuse me. Saguaro cacti. Yep.
Reminds me of the movie Blazing Saddles.
Oh, so don't get me started.
Mongo ought to be up there somewhere. Mongo don't like cactus.
Isn't he doing NASCAR this morning tomorrow? I think he's on the ground.
Our Mongo.
This car here was awfully quick in practice last night in happy hour. Dave Blaney in the 07 car, he was 3rd quickest.
And his quick lap, Larry, was set early in that session and held up through most of the session, whereas a lot of drivers' fastest laps were set right at the end when it was cool and overcast and dark.
He got back to the throttle really well down there in turns 3 and 4. That's going to be the key.
First lap 27.54. He would have to pick up about a half a second to knock Bobby Labonte off the top of the heap right now. See heavy braking at the end of these long straightaways. In these corners, there's about 9 to 11 degrees of banking, which is essentially flat, and it seems like these corners, they just go forever.
Both of them are quite a bit different, too. Both turns just a little bit different as far as the way they drive.
Picks it up, but not enough. 27.32. That's about 2.5 tenths off of Bobby Labonte. That's a good lap, Bobby Labonte.
I was just going to say, Larry, I don't think it's that Blaney slowed down all that much. That's just a pretty darn good lap that Bobby put up there.
Blaney has started in the top 10 his last 2 Phoenix races and has 2 top 10 finishes here in 4 starts. There's Bobby out of the car after his run.
Just been the wrong place, the wrong time. They had engine woes at Daytona, engine woes at Martinsville when they had a good run going. Just not the type of year they've been looking for.
Dick Berggren.
Bobby, see the camera right behind you? There you go. Okay, great. You're talking about strange stuff happening in Martinsville. This guy was leading the race where the engine started going bad. Last week in Texas, he got sick. Time for all that bad luck to end. You got a fast race car. What are you looking for tomorrow night?
Just a good, solid night. That's what we need. We were really excited about coming out here in our Interstate Battery Chevrolets. Felt real good in practice and, qualified better than we practiced on our speed. Being going out first, I don't know what to expect. But anyway, so it was a good lap for us, and hopefully it'll stay up there somewhere, and we'll see where it ends up. And but so far, real happy.
Hey, Bobby Labonte fans, there's a smile. That's something you haven't seen for a little while.
I think you're going to see more of it.
I think so, too.
Jeremy Mayfield, first lap 27.52. That's 3rd of 3 right now for the Dodge Dealers Dodge of Ray Evernham.
He was 19th quickest in last night's practice, and looks like Bobby Labonte, Dave Blaney, this second lap should be a little better.
I don't know. That didn't look too good getting into 3.
Darrell, there's such a fine line at this racetrack, especially qualifying, of overdriving and underdriving the corner.
It's almost like a Darlington. You know how you get off the turn real good at turn 2, the 1 and 2 turns now? That really sends you sailing into turn 3, and you got through 1 and 2. Man, that's the best I ever got through 1 and 2. But then you miss turn 3 because you're going so fast. I think the very similar thing happens here.
Mayfield, who led 46 laps here in 2000 when he was runner-up to Jeff Burton, climbs to 2nd on the board, 27.14.
Good pickup.
Carl Edwards in the Scott's number 99 Ford. His first start at Phoenix was in the Silver Crown race here in 2001. Overheating problems put him out of that race. 3 years later, he'd come back and finish 9th here in his Silver Crown race. But as Dick Berggren pointed out yesterday, amazingly, that Silver Crown race here at Phoenix was the first race that Carl Edwards had ever driven on a paved oval of any size.
Struggled a little bit in final practice last night as far as overall speed. He was only 37th quickest at a 28.01. Looks like this is going to be a lot better than 28.01. I'll say about 3/4 of a second, 27.16, and that's lap 1.
Yeah, he slipped her off the turn 2 there, though. He got down on the apron. That's okay. You can make your car turn doing that, but you don't want it to jump up and get loose like his did.
Darrell, almost 160 miles per hour at the end of the backstretch into a flat, basically 90-degree corner.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that one.
Only one incident in Busch Series qualifying just completed. Ryan Hemphill backed the number 4 into the wall at turn 2. Carl Edwards' first lap is the quick one, and right now he is 3rd. NASCAR West Series graduate Brandon Ash in an unsponsored Ford, 28.275. He was 37th in practice, and he'll be one of the drivers kind of on the hot seat here, as 3 drivers will go home from this 46-car field.
And that's actually a pretty good lap, but I think you're going to have to run in the high 27s to be safe. And Greg Biffle sideways off turn 2.
That's Biffle at his finest. We'll probably say that every day, every lap. He just got to wear that right rear quarter panel out. He's not happy.
Coming to the white flag.
Good. Even with that, it's going to be a good lap for Greg. He goes to the top of the charts, 27.03, and that was on his first lap, sideways off turn 2.
Yeah, and he's still a little sideways right there, but it's not hurting him. At least it's not hurting him compared to everybody else.
If he can get through 3 and 4, he should definitely pick up on this second lap based on how he got off turn 2. A little bit of slide off turn 4.
I think he used her all up on that first one.
Times identical. Yep, almost mirror each other. So the Subway National Guard Ford goes to the top spot. Greg Biffle picking up right where he left off with the last lap at Texas. He is fastest so far.
Darrell, this could be one of the trickiest corners on the circuit off turn 2 here at Phoenix.
What happens is you get down into turn 1 right on the bottom. I mean, with the left wheels on the yellow line, you pick up the throttle early because of that. As you start to exit that turn, the track almost runs out of banking for you, and it dumps you off over there where that wall is, and you get either push or get loose. You can see he gets loose. Actually, I should say you can either lift and not let anything happen, but if you do, it's going to slow you down. So keep digging, you're going to get loose.
In one of the most incredible coincidences in the history of racing, a couple of days after Tony Stewart's car caught fire and he had to bail out of it at Texas, he introduces Smokes barbecue sauce.
Well, now in Hollywood, they would say they had that all set up.
Hard to believe.
I know he didn't.
But wish him luck with that, and with the recovery from the burns sustained in last week's race. Some second-degree burns on his thigh and first-degree burns on his right arm. But Stewart's going to do double duty here, Busch race and the Cup race, and he is third quick right now, 27.12.
Darrell, one thing I'm hearing, especially here at the end of the back stretch, we'll maybe listen here and see if we can hear it. You hear them getting into the rev limiter. Again, most of these cars, since it's impound, they're pulling the lowest gear that NASCAR will let them run. Remember the gear rule, because they know the pace will slow down tonight, and that little lower gear will be just right.
See, that used to be something that give you an advantage. You see a little steam coming out of the back of the little water. You could pull a lower gear here and beat everybody off turn 2. You could get down on that low line and get underneath them and beat them down the back straightaway, get the position. But now everybody's on the same gear pretty much.
Tony thinks he has an advantage here at Phoenix. It's his home away from home track, because in addition to what you see here in Nextel Cup, he has won 3 midget races on this speedway, and he's won a Silver Crown race here. He says he knows every inch of this racetrack. Let's take you back 1 week ago when Tony said the crankshaft broke. And look at the oil fire starting at the front wheel well and all the way back.
As he slows down, as long as he's going up to speed, that fire's going out the back.
And Stewart tossed the wheel out the window and bails out.
He had some pretty good burns just on the top side of his right leg. I talked to him yesterday, and it was just a little bit uncomfortable, but I actually saw his uniform up at Simpson in the middle part of the week, a double-layered Simpson uniform, and for the most part, the uniform did its job, especially when you look as long as he was in that car with flames pouring out of it.
You bet. Sterling Marlin having a great career resurgence here in the Coors Light Dodge. Let's check with Dick Berger.
If you enjoy watching people with car control, you enjoy watching Greg Biffle. That thing was right out sideways. Was it fun to drive that way?
Wasn't fun to drive right there, because that left a couple tenths on the table, I think, on my second lap. But, you know, my first and second lap right on top of each other, and leaving that kind of time on the table, for sure it's not going to hold up for the pole, but probably a good start spot anyway. Hopefully inside the top 10. Just the temperature's dropping so fast right now, I'm not sure where we'll end up, but it was a good car, and I feel a little bit more confident for the race tomorrow night after the guys did all the changes on that car. I've worked them to death this weekend, and I appreciate their hard work.
And when Doug Richard, his crew chief, heard that same kind of disappointment in the radio, he immediately shifted to the psychologist mode, saying, it's okay, we're going to be fine, don't worry about a thing. You got a great psychologist for a crew chief there. Mike?
Thanks, Dick. Sterling Marlin comes in here 6th in points, but he's not going to be too happy with that run of 27:42. NASCAR Day is fast approaching, where you can win your wear your pin and show your support for the sport with a donation that will be divided among Speedway Children's Charities, the Petty's Victory Junction Gang Camp, and Speediatrics pediatric units. We'll have more details on that for you tomorrow.
We talked to Jimmy Johnson a while ago. Now, in practice last night, he was 7th quickest at a 27:57.
Didn't look all that sporty in turn 1. He kind of got it in and got it up the hill. I think hops up and down in the back a good bit. I'm not going to say he's not going fast, because sometimes hopping around is not all bad.
There you can really see him playing with that throttle right there. He's almost all the way up on the straightaway before he was able to put it down 100%.
Doesn't look all that smooth to me. He's having to, that time he had to slow down getting in the turn to keep it on the bottom. That could help him a little bit if he were able to pick the throttle up a little quicker.
I believe this will be a little better. First lap 27:25, good enough for 6th quickest. But you can just see really having to play with that throttle from the center of 3 and 4 off the corner.
And it's really hurting him too.
Looked like a pickup, and it is of 9/100ths of a second, but Jimmy Johnson holds 6th position in the Lowe's Chevrolet. His worst finish in the last 13 races is 8th. That is quite a record to hold on to.
Well, Larry, I think you know just like I do, it's hard to, I mean, I can think back to the qualifying setups that we would use to qualify well, and then how different they'd be to race. This is difficult when you have an impound situation.
It is that.
Dick Berggren with smoke.
You can see the pain on his face as he climbed out of that race car. You going to be okay to race this thing tomorrow night?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's actually probably the most comfortable I am is when I'm in the car. I found that out yesterday, but it's just hurts a lot getting in and out and walking around. That's probably the worst of it. But the people in the infield care center from the NASCAR medical liaison team, they've been doing an awesome job helping us, change the dressings out and keep it nice and clean. So, they say we're doing everything that we need to do, and we're doing that part right. And Scott Deal, that works on our team with the Home Depot car, he's got a new fan with a hose that's blowing right on it to keep it cool. So we've got about all the bases covered, and I really don't even feel it when I'm in the car. It's nice and comfortable. I told the guys I probably should have slept in the car all week because that's the best I've felt. So the good thing is it feels really good while we're driving, so I'm not going to have any problems with it.
Typical race car driver. Feels great while he's behind the wheel going fast. Any other time he feels lousy.
You bet. Hermie Sadler on track in the Peak Fitness 4. Now Hermie has to time his way in. He's going to need to do better than 28.80. I think that was his first lap.
I think you're going to have to at least run in, as we talked a while ago after Brandon Nash qualified, in the mid to mid-high 27s. So Hermie definitely needs to pick it up. Hermie be celebrating a birthday this coming Sunday. Be 36 years old. Had a good run in Texas last week. Ran all day, and then that's the biggest thing this team needed to do, is just run all day.
Yep, finished in the top 30 last week, making his 4th start of the year. Second lap is quicker, but he's still 9th on the board. Randy LaJoie started the season for this team, Mach 1 Motorsports, but they have been struggling of late. Missed the show at Bristol, made it at Martinsville, missed it at Texas. And West Coast ace Steve Portengay behind the wheel here at Phoenix. 28.34 makes him 11th of 11 and likely one of the 3 drivers headed home. Scott Riggs in the number 10 MBV Motorsports, and associate sponsor Centrix Financial moves up to the primary role this week on that normally Valvoline number 10.
It was pretty decent in practice last night. 13th quickest. Set on the Bud Pole at Martinsville a couple weeks ago. It's almost like you're in a control slide, hopefully, all the way around this racetrack, DW.
Pretty much on exit, particularly. Heavy braking right there. You don't realize how much brake these guys use going down into turn 1. It's almost like Martinsville getting down in there.
And you do not have that low gear to slow you down when you roll out of the throttle.
Larry, Mike and I were standing out on the roof there, and these cars sound so different than they did a year ago. I mean, I know this is a similar gear to what these guys run, but the Busch cars sound like they did 5 years ago, just kind of lugging around here. Brrr.
Briggs moves from 9th to 7th on his second lap, 27-28. And Darrell, what about tomorrow if it's windy? I mean, we're out here in the desert, a lot of sand, a lot of tumbleweeds blowing around.
Yeah, it might even make some rattlesnakes mad. They got them up there on that mountain, they told me. Hammond's going to go get me one.
I knew Hammond would figure in this sooner or later.
Bound to.
Tonight, the Busch Series race is on FX at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow, NASCAR This Morning and NASCAR Victory Lane coverage bracket the Subway Fresh 500 on Fox. 7:30 Eastern is your race time on Fox in high definition surround sound.
First race under the lights in 2005. First time we've ever raced at night under the lights here at Phoenix, DW.
And you know, speaking of Hammond, somebody asked him, what's the difference of running a race at night and in the daytime? He said, oh, it's the same, it's just darker.
Which brings us to Scott Wimmer, who had a brush with the wall in last evening's practice in the Caterpillar Dodge.
He was pretty good in practice last night, 8th quickest. Looked like these guys were going to have a great car at Texas last week. Got caught up in an early race crash. Right now, though, only 10th quickest out of the 13 cars that's qualified.
Wimmer, the 2002 Busch race winner here.
Has 3 Nextel Cup starts here. Best qualifying of 19th and finished 9th in 2003. See if Scott can pick it up on lap 2.
10th on his first lap and stays 10th with laps that are exactly a 10th of a second apart.
One of the first cars we've seen that has actually slowed down on lap 2.
Welcome back to Phoenix, where Johnny Sauter in the Miccosukee Indian Gaming Dodge of James Finch has just timed his way into the show tomorrow night. 27:38, 9th fastest overall, but most important, he is faster than 3 of the other must qualify on time cars.
See our reigning Nextel Cup champion there, Kurt Busch, walking to his car for qualifying.
Brian Vickers, the Ditech.com GMAX Chevrolet from Hendrick Motorsports. He has started outside pole in both of his Phoenix Cup races.
He was 22nd quickest in practice last night at a 27:78.
Drove her into 3 a little hard, slipped up the hill a bit, but not a bad looking run so far. Pretty smooth.
8th quickest, 27:32. This looks better. Oh, you get it?
Nah, they just get really close.
Thing about it, though, even though he was a little bit sideways, it does not appear that he actually rolled out of the throttle. He was able to stay in it. If he can get off turn 4, looks like he lost just a little bit, just past the center of turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, hurt him getting off the exit here.
And then it hurts the rest of that straightaway coming to take the checkered flag. But 3rd quickest for Brian, 27:07. Good lap.
Now you see that Fox tracker move around. He is 6 1/1000ths of a second slower than 2nd, and he's 3 1/1000ths of a second faster than 4th. So it's the game of inches and thousandths.
See on the exit of turn 2 here, almost all the way up on the straightaway, we talked about these cars sliding right there on the main part of the exit of the corner. The car just got loose with him all the way up against the wall. And Darrell, since you last raced here, they've widened that out by about 10 or 12 feet. It used to be real tight.
That wall you stick out there where you knew exactly where you were because you could feel it every time you came off the corner.
Dale Jarrett, 1 win and 4 top 10s in his 17 Phoenix appearances.
He'll be making his 575th Nextel Cup start Sunday.
But importantly, Larry, he comes in here 10th in points. Last year, after 7 races, he was 20th in the standings. So a big advance for that UPS team.
Set on the Bud pole for the Daytona 500 a couple of months ago. DJ was only 41st quickest last night in practice.
And he's 13th on his first lap at a 27.82.
This paint scheme, it's related to basically the new Star Wars movie that's coming out now. DJ, he's the light side of the Force, the Jedi. And a little bit later on in the qualifying, we'll see the dark side on his teammate's car, Elliott Sadler, in the 38 car.
Is that anything like light chocolate and dark chocolate?
Chocolate Empire.
Oh, I get it.
You get
M,
it now.
like the letter M.
You got it.
And M. Jarrett moves up to 12th on his second lap. Okay, we won't hold you in suspense. We'll show you the dark side car. And there it is for Elliott Sadler.
There's Hammond.
Jason Leffler in the FedEx number 11 from Joe Gibbs Racing, 9th quickest, 27.311. Solid run. And it brings up Casey Kane in the number 9 Dodge Dealers Dodge, who is the pole sitter for tonight's Busch race.
That was smooth right there. He got down in there nice. Picked the throttle up nice and quick. See how he looks here. Maybe a skosh high, but not bad.
Had a good outing in his first Phoenix start last year. Qualified 4th, ended up finishing 5th.
And he also has 3 Busch races here. 8th quickest, 27.258.
Darrell, this qualifying session looks like it's going to be real tight.
Look at that. 03, 06, 07, 08. I mean, just that little wiggle right there is killing. He had a little problem with that in the first lap.
He was doing pretty good up to that point on this second lap.
That's a tricky little turn. I would go in on the apron there. That's a little bit on the apron there, and it slides up into the track and it nailed the throttle.
He picked up 2 100s, but no change on the board. He stands 8th. He's the 2nd fastest Dodge. Dick?
Brian Vickers did not practice very fast. He was 22nd and 30th in the 2 practice sessions, but you're 3rd quick on the board. Where'd all the speed come from?
Well, we never got an opportunity to make a qualifying run in practice. We really focused on race trim. We kind of pushed it a little bit too far, and they just closed the gate on us to make a qualifying run. But I'm proud of the GMSC Chevy team. The guys have done a great job. They gave me a good car to qualify with, but more importantly, I think we got a good race car.
And that is much more important. Good luck tomorrow night. Thanks.
Trackside coming up later tonight. Gosh, it is Friday night. I don't know why it feels like Saturday, but
it is that. We have the hottest man on the Nextel Cup circuit to be with us, Greg Biffle, and a couple of young stars out of the Busch Series, Clint Boyer, trying to make his first Nextel Cup start here at Phoenix, as well as John Wood.
And we have Kyle Petty on track in the Georgia Pacific, Ronnie Dodge.
Kyle was 40th quickest in practice yesterday. A lot of us went back to the North Carolina area after Texas. Kyle hopped on his motorcycle and rode it from Texas out here to Phoenix. A little relaxing week for Kyle.
Now, how do you figure that, Larry? Sitting on a motorcycle all the way out here, that's relaxing.
Well, to Kyle it is. You just talk to him about it. He is pretty pumped up about doing it.
I wouldn't mind following along behind him in my motorhome.
With Smitty driving?
Yeah.
Kyle still in the top 20 in points. At Texas, he was 24th, but he holds 19th in the standings. That's a big pickup for him over a year ago. This lap, 27.69, 16th fastest.
And we've been coming here since 1988. The very first time we were here, Alan Kowicki won his first Nextel Cup race here. His crew chief was Paul Andrews, who's the crew chief for Kyle Petty now.
Coming up, Carl Long, Kurt Busch, Bobby Hamilton Jr., Ricky Rudd, and Front Row Joe. NASCAR Bud Bowl qualifying from Phoenix is brought to you by Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, and proud sponsor of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and that number 8 car. Carl Long has just timed his way into the race for tomorrow night, 27.85 for his Chevrolet, the Howes Lubricator. And it brings up defending Nextel Cup champ Kurt Busch in the Irwin Industrial Tools Ford.
It was pretty quick in practice last night. 4th quickest, ran a 27:53. Looks like a pretty solid lap.
And that little bobble there in 3 and 4, Larry. Looks like that's just everybody's Achilles heel right now. Getting loose off of 2. They're not getting out of the throttle, so it's not hurting their speed that badly. Getting in here into 3 and keeping the thing down and picking the throttle up. See, he gets sideways right there. Pretty loose.
And he ran 27:23. If he can stay in the throttle off turn 4, it's going to be a great lap for Kurt Busch. Yes, sir. 27:01. He's on the pole for now.
He slid her in there. I can promise you that.
That was definitely a controlled slide.
Power slide.
Slid around a little bit, but felt faster. That second lap was the pole, Kurt.
Oh, by the way.
Well, I can tell you, as a driver, I would have said she was sliding around, and I don't know how it did, but then they say it's pole. Yeah, that's the way I had it planned.
As expected.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yep. Good lap. Strong lap. Is that Adrian Fernandez that Jeff Gordon's talking to?
Yep.
I think it is. The open wheel ace who ran the NASCAR Busch Series race in a Hendrick car down in Mexico.
Jeff Gordon, who will go out here in about 15, 18 cars.
And here's Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Now, this is one of the cars that are go or go home, and that happened after Texas. He was in the top 35 in owner points, headed into Texas, got caught up in a crash, and now he's out of the top 35. Quite a wiggle there off turn 4 for Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Had a good lap going until that happened.
Oh, he's in the show. 12th fastest, 27:31. He will race tomorrow night.
He'll join Bobby Labonte and Johnny Sauter and Carl Long as far as the go or go homers that had to qualify in.
And that leaves Hermie Sadler on the hot seat, 1 spot away. A slower car in that group would bump Hermie into the field. Otherwise, he, Brandon Ash, and Steve Portengay would be headed home.
Bobby won a Busch Series race here back in 2003.
Second lap, 3/10 slower.
Tried to get that little extra.
Yeah, she was just bobbing and weaving a little too much on the second lap.
But he got enough on the first one. Hamilton, 12th right now. And here's our new pole sitter, Kurt Busch, who knocked Doug Richards' driver, Greg Biffle, off the top spot. Dick Bergman.
Nice job. But we were listening to you talking to your crew chief after that run. Sounded as if you were a little out of breath. Were you holding your breath?
It's exciting to just to go and make a lap here. For me, this place is very sentimental to me. To watch, I don't know, 5 or 6 cup races when I was a kid, sitting down in the grandstands in turn 1. And when I go to qualify here, I just think of my Southwest Tour car, the time that I spent here, and just a cool place to go qualify. I didn't know if it was going to stick or not. It did, and we'll see if we get the pole. It's a great lap for our Irwin Industrial Tools Ford.
And won the gong show here as well. That second lap, though, did you know when you ran that second lap it was going to be good enough for the pole?
I was just questioning myself why it slid around so much on the first lap. So I said, make sure you get a good run off of 4 coming to the white flag, and that'll help you through the lap. So it turned out to be positive so far. We'll see if we can hang on to it. But all right, we'll see what this impound stuff does. We've been questioning what we've been needing to do as a team, because right now I think our average starting position on an impound race is like 28. So we've been searching.
Looks like you got it figured out today.
Kurt first competed here in 1997 at the age of 19. He finished 8th in the Southwest Tour race that he was speaking of. Ricky Rudd, first lap for the Air Force Ford, 27:66. That's 18th fastest.
This team been awfully solid the last couple of weeks. Had a great run at Texas, finished 8th. 2 consecutive top 10 finishes, finished in the top 10 at Martinsville as well.
I think it was just way tight in the middle of the turn. He couldn't get it to turn. He couldn't get back to the throttle. It hurt his lap time.
And that could be bad news for tomorrow night unless they can take enough wedge out, make enough air pressure adjustment, what NASCAR will allow them to do to get that car right.
Ricky Rudd, who has no announced retirement plans, probably no contemplated retirement plans, has started every single Cup race since January of 1981.
Riverside, California.
Wow. 24 years.
And that's been a labor of love in a lot of cases, because some of those races he was hurt.
Joe Nemechek. He earned the title front row Joe last night when he was 2nd fastest in practice in this Army Chevrolet. Let's see if he can earn it today when it counts.
I've been seeing a lot of cars pick up 3 or 4 tenths from what they practiced. His time last night was a 27:38. So if he can pick up about 4 tenths, he'll be down in the 26-second bracket.
I don't know, Larry. That didn't look like a good corner entry.
Really didn't.
And he's up high down here in 3 and 4. He may use this as a throwaway lap, but it better be a good one if this next one's going to have to be a really good one.
It's going to be in the 20s, I think. 27:20, in fact, 9th quickest. So if he can pick up 2 tenths, which we definitely have seen.
Thing looks tight. It's just going in and can't get the nose down. It's picking the throttle up plenty early because that's how he gets loose up off of 2 there. But right here, she wants to go up the hill, cranks into it, gets a little wobbly with him.
You need that left front digging down against that yellow line down there in the middle of turn 3 and 4 to have that car really turning.
As the Fox tracker showed you, second lap is slower for Nemechek, who right now is 9th. Coming up, Matt Kenseth, Ken Schrader, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Mike Wallace, and Jamie McMurray. Past Cup champion Matt Kenseth in the DeWalt Tools Ford was 28th in practice. He is 12th right now in this qualifying session. He's the 4th quickest Ford at 27:29.
Winner of the race back here in 2002. Kind of had a tough Texas last week. 21st in points, finished 18th.
That car had a good race look to it, though. Nice and smooth. It wasn't, you know, it's not terribly fast, but it did have a good look to it.
Here, the winningest driver in the history of Phoenix International Raceway in the Schwann's home delivery Dodge. Kenny Schrader has 14 wins here, 4 each in the Southwest Tour and USAC Silver Crown, 3 midget wins, and 3 NASCAR West Series wins.
Car just looks way loose, especially down there in turn 3 and 4.
Well, I bet he'd trade all 14 of those for 1 Cup win.
I bet he would too, but he's always been on the mark here qualifying. He started all 17 races, 2 Bud Poles, 12 top 10 qualifying efforts in those 17 starts. But he's going to have to pick it up if he's going to stay in that mode.
21st on his first lap. This looks better.
Definitely looks better than lap 1. I don't think it will be in the top 10. 27:42, 17th quickest.
Hermie Sadler still on the hot seat with 4 drivers left that have to time their way in. They are Stanton Barrett, Kevin LePage, Robbie Gordon, and Clint Boyer. As Schrader completes his run. Last fall, Dale Earnhardt Jr. ran it under Jeff Gordon. Next stop, victory lane.
And what made Junior's car so good here last year was he could get into turn 3 like no one else. When everybody else was lifting, he was still digging.
And his crew chief then, Tony Eury Jr., that's now with Michael Waltrip, made a little bit of a gamble late in the race and stayed out on older tires, but he felt like that track position would prevail, and it did.
Yeah, and you could do that last year on the tires they had. I'm not so sure that would be a great move this year. We've seen that bite a couple of guys already this year.
Qualifying fortunes picking up for this team. They're 11th at Texas, best time trial of the season for Dale Jr.
This is definitely going to be a better lap than that final practice last night, but I watched this car a lot in that final practice. I don't think they ever really made a practice mock qualifying run because he was way down the charts. Right now, 11th quickest on lap 1.
Looking better for lap 2.
A lot better. Let's watch this throttle here. You see a little bit of brake. Let's see what happens when he's able to put the throttle back down off turn 4, playing with it just a little bit. Goes wide open pretty quick. He didn't play with it a lot.
Stabbed at it. Did it pick him up? No. 2/100ths of a second. No change. 11th on the chart.
We might get one of our guys, Dick or somebody in the pits, to check. I believe it's the same right side tire they had here last fall. I think I read that.
Dale Jr. with 2 wins here and 310 laps led in 5 starts.
Those are back-to-back wins. In fact, the last 2 times we've raced here in 2003, 2004. It's the first time we've ever been here in the spring. Jimmy Finning.
Yep, quickest team so far. Inside Nextel Cup. They rewind the race and look at it with the driver's eye view Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Speed. Whoa!
Not too good. Now this one, you got to rethink this little deal right here. Now what am I going to do?
Mike Wallace in the Morgan McClure Lucas Oil Ford, and fortunately,
he's thinking about, am I going to stop, turn around, go back, and rewind this thing?
And he can do this. Now, he's taken the green flag, but remember, it's 2 laps of qualifying. Unless he actually has a problem, what he can do, as long as he does not break the start-finish line and take the white flag, he can go all the way back around and get another running start and try to make do on lap 2.
Oh, he's not going to do it.
He's not even going to do that.
And one reason may be, Larry, they are in the race. That this team, which started the season outside the top 35, they are now in the top 35. They just got in the top 35. So
worked on this morning, doesn't work.
So they will race Saturday night. Mike Wallace saying, nope, this isn't going to happen. But they are in the race.
But they definitely, he does not like something he has here, and remember, there's very few adjustments that could be made on this car.
Yeah, he said what they worked on this morning didn't work, so they made some change here that's made the car very unhappy, and obviously he can't drive it.
And this is an impound race now, so they would have to get NASCAR permission to make any change. Now they're already going to be at the back of the field. Ironically, the number 4 Busch car that he drove last year crashed in turn 2.
He was
earlier in qualifying.
He was at the wrong track. And he's just getting back.
The Boston Marathon was held Monday. Nah, not this year.
No, not this year.
We're being told that the problems on that 4 are pretty serious. Darrell and I have been talking about how you go off in these corners at such a high rate of speed, use a lot of brake. He had no brakes, or had very little brakes, so that was the problem he was fighting.
Rusty Wallace, Larry Carter, and crew talking it over. And NASCAR is going to have a look at the track, make sure that no fluid was put down by the Mike Wallace car. The big names, the rising stars, the stories and faces of NASCAR. Declare your citizenship to NASCAR Nation Monday through Thursday right here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and Pacific.
Yeah, they're doing that behind the wheel thing. Now, I like that. You know, where we can go inside the race. I listened to Doug Rickard and Biffle talking about when they were messing with Casey Mears there at the end of the race, and they were scanning each other. That was funny.
It's neat stuff. It's a good show.
A couple of weeks ago, when Jeff Gordon, they played the audio when he was trying to make those 3 laps up at Martinsville. He said, tell the 2-spotter I'm 3 laps down, and I'm very anxious to make one of them up.
Jamie McMurray with a new sponsor. Again, an associate taking on a primary role for this race. Home123.com, a mortgage company. And McMurray's first lap, 23rd at a 27.66.
Winner of the Busch Series race here last fall. Driving for Chip Ganassi in the 41 car that Reed Sorensen's in now.
And Larry, I did get a report. I thought I read it, and this is the same right side tire that they had here last fall. So, you know, maybe 2 tires will work here again.
I'm sure someone will tread the waters and test it.
McMurray climbs the board to 20th at a 27.50.
Want to see what an impounded car looks like? One sitting over in the garage.
So Johnson picks up a few spots, and he is the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th fastest Dodge. 2 Fords up front right now. Kurt Busch fastest. His Roush Racing teammate Greg Biffle presently 2nd ahead of Bobby Labonte, Brian Vickers, and Tony Stewart in Chevrolets.
Darrell, this is what you were talking about. This is actually the Busch Series cars that are impounded. They'll be racing here in about an hour and a half or 2 hours, coming up on FX later on tonight.
Next up, Stanton Barrett. Now, Hermie Sadler's on the hot seat at a 28.26. So if Barrett is slower than that, Sadler is in the show. 3 drivers go home, and the Hollywood stuntman trying to make sure he's not one of them. Good run. Stanton Barrett will race tomorrow night with a lap of 27.90. And that's Chevrolet.
It's good news for these boys. They have attempted every event this year. The only race they made was Bristol, and ended up losing an engine. Oil got under his tires and ended up wrecking. So they tore the car up, blew the engine in the same situation. So this will be good news for this group. Oh, Fred Wanke, the crew chief over there at DW.
Fred's a hero of mine.
Well, look, Fred stayed in that Holiday Inn Express last night.
Smarter.
Everything's okay.
He could do one of those commercials, I guarantee you.
All right. So Stanton Barrett is in the show.
Now, since the Nextel Cup cars do not race till tomorrow night, this is the way the impound procedure goes here. You come off the racetrack after qualifying, you back them in the garage area, you put the cover on them, you close the toolbox, and you walk away. And the garage opens about 1 o'clock tomorrow, and you'll be able to make those adjustments that NASCAR will allow you, which is very minimum, and then we'll race them, line them up, race them tomorrow night.
Jeff Gordon, 24th in practice, matching his car number. Only 2 starts here, worse than 14. And no, he's never won here, but he's won almost everywhere else.
Only 1 of 4 tracks. What a great problem to have, but he did win a Busch Series race here.
And a USAC race here.
Does not look like a great lap going for Jeff Gordon, 24 car.
Just having to pedal it right through the center of the turn, just can't get back to the throttle, and that kills your lap time around this track.
He maybe's not won here, but in his 12 Cup starts, 10 top 10 finishes.
16th on his first lap, 27.32.
That was better.
Looked a lot better.
That was better.
Looking a whole lot better. Now he's starting to lose ground like he got off turn 2 somewhat good. And the reason this is jumping around, as we talked earlier, we have so many cars now that 31 has qualified.
Pretty good lap.
Little transmission glitch there because Gordon's been right up on top of it, and he goes to the pole.
26.93.
Good job, buddy. Great job. 6.93. Great job there, guys.
Picked up 4 tenths on that second lap.
I'm so proud of you guys. That baby was awesome. A little loose of that first lap, but that baby came in on that second lap.
That's a happy car and a happy driver.
Of the 4 tracks on which Gordon has not won, this is the one on which he's had the most starts without a win.
Well, he helped himself, helped the cause there with that lap, starting up near the front. He's running down, this kid is, to get the tire pressures right now before the thing comes to a stop. He wants to know what the tire pressures are.
You heard him say it was pretty loose the first lap, but it came in that second lap. Gripping that racetrack.
There's got to be just so much trust when that car doesn't work right on the first lap that it's going to work right the next lap, Darrell.
Yeah, but you know, you can almost feel it when you go down into, like on the second lap, you run her off in turn 1, you say, oh yeah, baby, she's come to me.
Kevin Harvick in the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, 19th on his first lap, 27.41.
Working with his crew chief again, Todd Berrier, who was suspended for 4 races after the fuel cell situation at Las Vegas. And Todd Berrier back in action this week.
It's not going to be too bad here either.
Be a good solid lap, 8th quickest.
Nice pickup
16
for Kevin Harvick, who practiced 20th and right now sits in 8th spot. Last year here at Phoenix, Kevin Harvick in the 29 and Casey Kane got together a couple of times during and after the race. Then live and in person. So Jeff Gordon goes to the top of the board. Coming up, Kevin LePage, Robbie Gordon, Kyle Busch, Travis Kvapil, Rusty Wallace.
He's in
just barely. Robbie Gordon on track in the Harris Chevrolet and just ran a lap that will barely get him in the field, 28.04. He is faster than 3 of the other drivers who have to qualify, so Robbie will race tomorrow night here in Phoenix.
Well, he had his hands full. I know that. That thing was evil.
Also, Kevin LePage in the Carter Racing Dodge, picking up another car with hotel sponsorship in the weekend. Courtyard Dodge for LePage. Good lap, 20th quickest at 27:40. So Hermie Sadler is still on the hot seat. Let's see who's on the fast seat with Dick Bergman.
And that would be Jeff Gordon. And getting out of that race car, he was all smiles. The crew were all smiles, high fives. It was as if you'd won the race. Why so excited?
Well, you know, crazy things happen when you least expect them. I mean, I was really, we had a great car for the race yesterday when we were doing our practices. I mean, I was so happy with it. We put it in qualifying trim and could not go anywhere. And so I saw how fast everybody was going today, and I just really didn't think that we had a car capable of running that kind of speed. But my hat's off to the guys in this DuPont Chevrolet, Robbie, Steve, all these guys. They did just such an amazing job, because all the things the car was doing yesterday when we made that qualifying run did the exact opposite. I mean, the car just rolled through the center of the corner so awesome that first lap I knew it was a throwaway. The throwaway, it just didn't have the grip and the tires, but the second lap was really, really good. So proud of these guys. That's awesome. I don't know where we're going to end up. We got Newman and some other guys, but still, that's a great, solid lap.
Did you dig deeper?
Well, the first lap I was a little nervous, but the car was, you know, yesterday I was just so tight that if I knew that if we had a car that would roll through the center, that I could really, you know, push the car. And so, you know, when I came down that last lap, I absolutely have to for qualifying. You have to all the time these days.
Good job. Congratulations.
Kyle Busch smacked the wall in his Kellogg Chevrolet.
The young man gets in a lot of trouble trying to qualify, Larry.
Yeah, this was on his second lap down there, Calamity Corner so far, turn 2.
Just had to give up on it. It was out of control.
He did get a lap in that is good for 20th fastest. And the right side of the car looks clean.
Yeah, I don't know that he ever hit anything. He just lost control of that baby off the 2 over there.
Now, this is interesting. We've qualified 35 cars, and the first driver to qualify is still working his way back to the garage. Many others have walked past, but Bobby Labonte still signing autographs 45 minutes after he made his run. Trying to make some deposits at the Luck Bank, I would guess.
He has not stopped since he got out of that car.
Good for him. Kyle Busch talking over that little scrape coming up off turn number 2, where he just nudged the wall on his second lap. Right now he's 20th. His Hendrick teammate Jeff Gordon fastest ahead of Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle, and Bobby Labonte.
Now, if you watch the back end of his car, right over there
snap
on the
around,
right side, right below on that yellow strip, right along the bottom there, you'll see a little
crackle. Pop goes the second lap.
Just a little cosmetic damage, nothing major. I guarantee you, after tomorrow night, there will be no blue paint left on that wall right there. There it is. Nothing major.
Wouldn't be enough to raise his deductible over, would it? Coming up later this evening, Busch Series racing on FX, 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific. And tomorrow, NASCAR this morning. It's right. It says 6 p.m. Eastern. That's when we're going to run NASCAR this morning, just before the Subway Fresh 500 on Fox, 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 out west. And then NASCAR Victory Lane to wrap it all up at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. "35 drivers have made qualifying runs. Jeff Gordon quickest, Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle, Bobby Labonte, Brian Vickers. 3 Chevys, 2 Fords, as Travis Quaffle, who was fastest in the first practice yesterday, makes his run in the Kodak Jasper Engines and Transmissions Dodge.
And, you know, Larry, we were talking yesterday about Rusty helping Travis. I was listening to an interview Rusty did earlier or later on yesterday, and Rusty said that very same thing. He said, Travis's team and my team are working together. I'm doing everything I can to help Travis.
Yeah, they came out here and tested together the first of last week, the 77 team and the 2 team. Brand new race car for Travis, tested only. 24th quickest on the first lap, 27:45.
Jeremy Sadler still on the hot seat with just one driver left to go who has to time his way into the show. That's Clint Boyer. So the field not quite set.
This car didn't want to turn exactly right in the middle of 3 and 4. I definitely think this is going to be a better lap than lap 1. It's up to 19th quickest, 27.37.
That car was looked like he had his hands full with that baby. Got a lot of tape on the window, though. We've been talking about the sun. You can see how he is preparing for that.
Well, the one thing, though, he won't have time to go back and share any information with Rusty Wallace.
Because Rusty's already left pit road to make his qualifying run.
He was probably talking to him on that second lap.
Rusty fires it up and hits the Miller Lite Dodge out onto the speedway. 3 Bud poles here at Phoenix. 15 top 10s. And 6th in practice last night.
And then the biggest thing that's missing from that graphic right there is he comes in here to Phoenix 3rd in points, the highest he's been in about 3 years in the points.
As good as he has been here, though, the last couple of times we've been here, he hasn't qualified all that well. Even with all those good starts he's had, he's had a little trouble here the last couple of times qualifying.
And although this is his last full season in Nextel Cup, he had previously ruled out coming back for a race or two, and now you read in his quotes a few second thoughts about that.
And I think it's to do because of the way he's running right now. But Darrell, when he drove off into turn 3, his car really shot up the racetrack.
Looks exactly like Travis has done it.
And he qualified right now right there with Travis. Travis is 20th quickest, and after 1 lap, Rusty Wallace is 19th quickest. Out of the throttle.
Any better. He's up. No, it's just out of the groove there. Just a little too high. Have to wait a little too long to get back to the throttle wide open.
Definitely be better, though, than lap 1.
Yeah, he's going to improve.
Yeah, he's going to just miss being the fastest Dodge by 1/100th of a second to Jeremy. And Rusty is 8th.
Pretty good pickup, 2/10.
So he's in the top 10 again.
That was loose. Should never pull that air out of the right rear.
Heard him already evaluating maybe the 1 air pressure change they should have not have made before this qualifying run.
Jeff Gordon, Robbie Loomis talking it over.
They have about 9 more cars to wait it out. Of course, one of those cars will be Rusty Wallace and Travis Quaffel's teammate, Ryan Newman. But right now, Mark Martin in the 6th car.
And Mark, who got into that fence yesterday in practice, got awfully close to it right there at turn 2.
Mark was 10th quickest in practice last night.
Again, drove it in there into 3 pretty hard. Gets it up in the center of the turn, which hurts your getting back to the throttle as quickly as you'd like to be able to.
28th, 27.51.
Yeah, Mark's way up off the bottom there again. That just means that he's having to wait on the car to turn, which means you can't get back to the throttle, which means you're not going to run a real fast lap.
This lap looks better, though.
He was able to pull it down.
Yeah,
more
you can kind of, once you know that's what it's going to do, you can kind of diamond it. You know, okay, so that's what it's going to do. I'll run it up there and then I'll jerk it to the bottom and hit it.
Good pickup. Martin goes to 20th. He is the 5th fastest Ford with a 27.34. And Mark Martin comes in here in the top 10 in Nextel Cup points.
Mike, I just believe with the rules the way they are this year, the spoiler rules, the tires they got, the impound, I think everything that's going on is falling right into the hands of the veteran drivers.
The Michael Waltrip Celebrity Poker Tournament. Right here on Speed, Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Silly hats, lots of jewelry, but all for a good cause.
I watched that the other night, and it was a lot of fun to watch. Of course, Michael Waltrip, the biggest thing coming into Phoenix, a little bit of momentum from that good run, finishing 6th at Texas last week.
He was pretty pumped about that. The whole team was. I was down there earlier today. They said that the car is really good this weekend again. They've got a little momentum going now, and that's just what he needs. Whoops, that will not help anything at all right there.
He was 11th quickest in practice. Do not think this first lap's going to be what he's looking for.
Now, this is when you got to really, as a driver, suck it up and say, okay, I messed up that lap.
30th quickest on lap 1, 27:53. This lap definitely, if he can get through 3 and 4, looks better than lap 1.
I think this will be a lot better. He got off of there pretty well.
Picks it up to 27:40. That'll put Michael 24th quickest. Now, we definitely know, Mike, that Brandon Ash and Steve Portengay will not make the show because we only have one more go or go home car, and that will be Clint Bowyer in the 33 car, who will be third from the end. So it'll be between Clint Bowyer and Hermie Sadler who will go and who will race.
And Bowyer was 12th in practice, so if he has an error-free run, he should make the show. Rusty Wallace walking away after signing a few autographs for fans. Casey Mears strapping in. Jeff Burton, past winner here. That was when he raced here for Jack Roush. 2 wins back-to-back, including 5 top 5s. A lot of laps led here.
Those wins were in 2000 and 2001. That was actually the last time that Jeff Burton went to victory lane at the Nextel Cup race, was here in November of 2001.
He was good in the first practice last night. He was like in the top 5 as far as time's concerned then.
And in 2000 he doubled here, won the Busch race and the Cup race.
A good first lap, 32nd quickest. I know this team had high hopes coming here. They came out here and tested a couple of weeks ago. This definitely has a better look about it on lap 2 here for Jeff Burton, a 31 car.
She's up the hill right there, Larry. That hurts your lap time. I think it'll be better, but not terribly.
Should be maybe in the 30s, 27:32, 19th quickest.
Coming up, Jeff Green, Elliott Sadler, Mike Bliss, Clint Bowyer. Jeff Green in the Cheerios Dodge, first lap 27:66, 33rd quickest for the former Busch Series champion.
Oh, 43 car has a win here with Bobby Hamilton Sr. a few years ago.
Second lap quicker for Green, but he'll stand 32nd on the board.
Bobby actually has that car in his showroom up in Julia, Tennessee.
Neat. And here comes the dark side.
Hello.
Elliott Sadler.
He likes green M&Ms, Elliott does.
Really?
Yeah.
DW told me last night, I think you had a quote, you went to the dark side one time. Who'd you find there?
Hammond. Just my luck.
Robert Yates Racing, they have 3 wins here, one with Dale Jarrett we talked about earlier, and 2 with Davey Allison in the 028 car, 1991, 1992.
So this is the car of the evil Empire?
Yes.
The dark side.
The dark side.
Of the chocolate.
Oh, goodness gracious. It was ugly right there.
Yeah. Speaking of evil.
Yeah.
Elliott Sadler represents the dark chocolate M&Ms.
Well, he was 9th in practice, but right now he represents 35th on this first lap after a big slide. Trust the force, Luke.
The Phoenix has not been one of Elliott's better racetracks. You can see the car's just not down in the racetrack. 6 starts, 1 top 10 finish. Best qualifying of 9th last year.
He needs R2-D2 to work on that baby.
29th quickest for Elliott, 27:47. That just shows you how tight it is. Right now, Brian Vickers is 5th at a 27:07. Elliott Sadler is 29th at a 27:47. 4 tenths.
What do you think he's got on his mind?
4 consecutive Bud Poles here, maybe?
Yeah. He wants to run a 26.92.
That'll be just enough.
Mike Bliss next, then Clint Bowyer, Casey Mears, and Ryan Newman.
Mike was 16th quickest in practice last night at a 27.69.
He has 1 win and 2 poles in 10 Craftsman Truck Series starts. Trackside coming up next, just as soon as we're done with Bud Pole qualifying here at Phoenix. And that will take you on toward the Busch race, which you'll see tonight over on FX.
We'll find out a lot of interesting things about Mr. Greg Biffle on this trackside show.
27.62, Mike Bliss, 35th on his first lap.
Mike won a Craftsman truck race here a few years ago. 2 poles in the Craftsman Truck Series as well. This second lap definitely be better. 27.34. Don't pick him up a whole lot as far as positions.
And they need a rebound, Larry. Their first 4 races were all finishes in the top 20, but their last 3 were finishes of 37th, 36th, and then 22nd at Texas. So this will determine the field, in that Brandon Ash and Steve Portengay are already bumped. Hermie Sadler is on the hot seat. This is Clint Bowyer in the Sylvania number 33. He has to beat Hermie Sadler's 28.26 to be able to race tomorrow night.
And all he's thinking is, baby, just be somewhere near as good as you were in practice, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, he was fast in both practice sessions yesterday. Just needs to make sure and not overdrive this race car. They came out here and tested a couple of days, a few weeks ago.
Regular in the Busch Series. And right now this run looks quick enough. Sadler right now is 40th. That's the man he has to beat.
It's just going to be a solid lap. It's by no means going to be a Bud Pole run, but he's just trying to get in the field, and he will race, which that will send Hermie Sadler on. He ends up 36 quickest after lap 1.
Car just not staying on the bottom. He gets into 1, he just can't seem to get it to stay on the bottom of the racetrack. Be quick around here. That's what you got to do.
His Busch team, led by Gil Martin, they're looking after this Nextel Cup car as well, as he got awfully loose off the corner right there. 27.37 though.
Wow. Car was really tight, and caused him to be way up off the bottom of the racetrack on the exit particularly.
But he is much quicker, and he climbs to 23rd on the board, and that will set the field with 2 drivers left to qualify.
I've just been really impressed with Clint. This year, last year I was a little concerned. I thought, I don't know, he seems awfully, he didn't have a lot of confidence. But boy, this year he has stepped up in the Busch car, and now he's in the Cup race. Good job for him and his team.
I believe we'll maybe talk to him on trackside about that a little bit.
I think I'll mention that to him, see what he says.
Two cars to go. Casey Mears and Ryan Newman.
Tell you what, don't count this little guy right here out either, because he's hustling around here pretty darn good. He had a good shot at winning this race last year. And late in the race, they had a flat tire, and they kind of tried to ride it out, and the tire let go on him, and they crashed. But he had a good car.
Yeah, with 6 laps to go, but he's always been solid qualifying here. 2 starts. He's qualified 7th and 9th. He was not real fast in practice last night, only 38th quickest.
He wobbled around a little bit with him. That could be tire pressure. Should pick up on his second lap a little.
And he's coming off his best career finish.
He's up out of the groove, and he's pushing. That's what makes the car jump around the way it does off of turn 2.
But what a day for Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabatos last week at Texas. All 3 Ganassi cars finishing in the top 5, and if that wasn't enough, Busch Series driver Reed Sorensen, driving for him in the Busch Series, finished 3rd on Saturday. So all 4 Ganassi cars over the weekend, top 5 finishes.
Second lap for Mears pulls him up to 30th, 27.444.
We have 6 cars that ran in the 27.40s.
Last driver to qualify, and the time to beat, Jeff Gordon's 26.93. And they light the fuse on the rocket, and here goes the Autel die. 3 straight Bud poles in 5 Phoenix starts, 4 top 10 starts in 5 appearances here.
Yeah, he ran here in 2000 and 2001 when he was not running the full circuit. He was on the ARCA Busch Cup program. Made his very first Nextel Cup start here back in November of 2000.
A little loose coming to get the green, but that shouldn't hurt him too badly. I tell you, that car just has an incredible look to it when it qualifies. It's all sucked down like it's eating up the earth. They can't seem to get it to do that in the race, though.
Just remember, Jeff Gordon's car was pretty loose on his first lap, and then it came in on lap 2. Now, Ryan's time in practice was a 27:35 last night. It's going to be a pretty good first lap.
Yeah, he hooked it around the bottom really well off the 3 and 4.
27:08, fastest. Whoa!
Oh, baby, that's it.
And that cost him right there.
That's it.
He was going for it.
Yeah, he got loose off the 2 over there.
He knew what he ran on lap 1. He knew he had to get a little bit more. There's a happy group. They didn't have to wait on that second lap to be completed.
Jeff Gordon has won his 53rd career Bud pole as Matt Borland looks at what might have been.
Oh, he's down in turns 1 and 2 watching the car go through there. He's back in the throttle. He's probably really happy, but right here she comes loose on him, and everybody knows what happens when they get loose.
Darrell, he looked awfully low on the racetrack when he got back in the gas, like well down out of the groove.
Yeah, well, I think he was on his way. He was accelerating up at that point, back in the gas and getting ready to use up all that racetrack when it jumped sideways.
He was running out of racetrack in a hurry.
There is your front row for tomorrow night's race on Fox. A look at the Salt River as we remind you that coverage of NASCAR Bud Pole qualifying from Phoenix International Raceway is brought to you by WinFuel, the first multivitamin designed all around winning. Polaris ATVs, the world's toughest ATV. And XM Satellite Radio. Experience the excitement of NASCAR 24 hours a day only on XM Satellite Radio. Best friends will share the front row as we look at the WinFuel winning edge. Jeff Gordon's going to line up next to Kurt Busch.
That might be exciting. That might be really interesting.
How about it, Dick Berggren?
Jeff Gordon has won a Silver Crown race here. That was back in 1991. In 1999, he won a Busch Series race here. In 2005, you've now won your first pole in Nextel Cup racing. What's next?
Well, hopefully a win here tomorrow, but you know, this is a long way from that. But what a great effort! Just so proud of this race team, and really shocked with the time. You know, we did struggle a little bit yesterday when we went to qualifying setup, or you know, when we did a few adjustments that we can do for qualifying, and we were so good earlier in the day and throughout our race run. So I'm really excited about the race. I wasn't expecting to be here on the pole, but I'm very happy right now to be on the pole. This team just did a tremendous job, and proud of them. And you know, we'll see what we can do with the DuPont Chevrolet tomorrow.
So much difference between the race that we are going to experience tomorrow night and what we've had before. Tomorrow we race at night. Tomorrow we race for the first time in the spring. First ever impound race. How have you managed to cope with all of that to try to get the car to victory lane?
Well, I don't know if we have yet. I'll tell you, when the lights came on, the sun went down yesterday, everybody started struggling. You could just hear everybody on the radios talking about it and see the cars out of shape. So I don't know really what to expect. It's going to be an interesting race. If it stays overcast, it won't be so bad. But if the sun comes out tomorrow and it gets hot and then it starts to cool down, it's going to make for a handful for a lot of us.
Great job today. Congratulations on winning the pole.
Thanks, Dick. I think two big stories on this starting lineup. Bobby Labonte looking for the big rebound here, and Tony Stewart driving hurt from Burns last week, and they're both in the top 10.
But I just look at that the first 5 cars there. We've been talking all year long. Roush and Hendrick, other than Bobby Labonte, 2 Roush cars in the top 5, 2 Hendrick cars. Dale Earnhardt Jr. back on row 8. He's won the last 2 races here, trying to make it 3 in a row tomorrow.
Matt Kenseth coming out of the 9th row. Jeff Burton, who's won here twice, out of row 10.
Clint Boyer back on row 13, making his very first Nextel Cup start tomorrow night.
Mark Martin, row 11. Ken Schrader, this track's winningest driver, out of the 15th row.
Stanton Barrett makes his second race of 2005 back in row 20.
That's interesting. Top 10 in points, top 10 in points, top 10 in points.
Better put their work gloves on. A little bit of work to do.
I think you're right. And Robbie Gordon, with a lap of 28.03, secures the final spot in the field by 0.2 of a second over Hermie Sadler, who goes home along with Steve Portengay and Brandon Ash. Fox FX and Speed Channel coverage of NASCAR from Phoenix continues tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific. The Busch Series race is on FX. Tomorrow, NASCAR this morning at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That's p.m. here on Speed. The Subway Fresh 500's on Fox at 7:30 Eastern. And NASCAR Victory Lane wraps it all up 11 p.m. tomorrow night here on Speed. Stay tuned for trackside here from Phoenix International Raceway as we turn over to Sunset and get set for the Busch race.
I cannot wait for these lights to come on. They had them on last night for a NASCAR West race. It is a sight to behold here in the desert under the lights.
And congratulations to Bernie Lamar, who was third when they waved the white flag and who ended up in victory lane in that NASCAR West race last night. He's a development driver for Kevin Harvick and Rick Corelli, and doing a great job.
Yes, sir. Great race.
Jeff Gordon, 53rd career pole and his first on the Phoenix Mile. He and Kurt Busch will start side by side tomorrow night.